Good evening. Welcome to What's New. Tonight we are going to learn about the Spirit Reunion. So we have Mickey to talk and also Mike. And they're going to tell you all about it. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, our annual Spirit Reunion is coming up on October the 24th. If it rains, I'll probably say this a couple of times, if it rains badly that we have to cancel it, we're moving it for a rain date to November the 2nd. So we should have the same spirits back again.
Actually, the Spirit Reunion will be Saturday, October 26th.
Oh,
The
26th.
24th would be a Thursday. I had to check that, but
Yeah.
my bad, but
No, I probably looked at it and it does
Probably
say the
looked at the
26th.
wrong-
I understand, you
Yeah.
know, and when you're a spirit, things kind of get away from
Time just keeps going around you with
Yes.
no
you.
meaning.
One day, another day, they all can be almost the same.
And actually,
Exactly.
you can have the wrong month up and it's perfectly good.
So October the 26th, we open the doors at 5 o'clock and it 5 to 7 or 8, 7:30 or so. By 8 o'clock, it is pitch dark in the cemetery. And it's hard for us to collect all of our things that we've set out, much less anybody trying to get out of the cemetery.
And besides that, the spooks come alive.
That's true. That's true indeed. We do want to get it out of there before that happens. But it's $5 for children, $10 for adults, and we will give you a lantern or a little flashlight. You can kind of choose between a little flashlight, so you'll have your own light to see your way around the cemetery, and all the spirits will have their lanterns, so you can find them in the dark.
Or if you'd rather use your phone for your flashlight, you're
Right.
welcome to do
A lot
that.
of people have done that. Yes, that works also. So, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Not really.
Okay.
It'll just depend on you telling
Okay.
everything. And if I think of something, I'll ask.
now the question is, what is a spirit reunion? And it's Old Memorial Cemetery. We have people that are reenacting the people that are buried in that cemetery. So they'll be there in costume, and they'll tell the life story of the person that they represent. Now, there are 300 stones left in the cemetery, and there are 3,000 to 5,000 people that are buried there. So the likelihood of you necessarily having a stone, a spirit may come in and have a character, but no stone to find for that place. So they get to choose their own spot in the cemetery and
that's
make it
cool.
their own.
Yeah.
And but of those 300 stones, a lot of them we do have people that are representing the spirits that are living there. So that's always fun to have it right where their
Tombstone is.
tombstone is. And
this isn't really scary.
no.
I should have not said that about the
Yeah.
spooks come out.
The
It's
whole
history.
purpose of this is history. It's at this time of the year because this is a good time to have maybe not rain. We've only had a rain out once,
That's
and
nice.
and it's still early enough that it's not turning dark at 6 or something. And so this is just, we've tried at different times of the year, but this one just fits. So we bring everybody in, and we can't call them actors because they always tell me they're not actors, but they're reenactors and interpreters.
And they do a good job.
Some of the spirits who we've had in the past, to give you an idea, we've had the Audubon family represented. We've had Prospect Robbins. We've had Jean-Baptiste Vallee. We've had Marie Bourbeau. We had Marie Villars. We've had a fur trapper, Pelagie Janice, Louis Beauduc, Marie Beauduc, Madame Beauvais, which would be Felicity, Mona Felicity Beauvais, the wife of Vital, Saint Jean Beauvais. And we have, of course, Vital with his wife. We have Francois Janice, Joseph Hertic. We have victims from the steamboat explosion. And we have a few different, we have one group who's been coming and representing a couple that perished in the steamboat. And then we have a news story with an additional, and everybody's story is different. Even, there were 25 to 30 people who perished in the Dr. Franklin steamboat explosion in 1852. But of course, they were headed somewhere different. They came from somewhere. They, reasons for. So we have a news story, someone representing a different one this year. We have Genevieve Schwab, Marie Janice, Dennis McGill, John Scott, the spirit of the cemetery, Jean-Baptiste de la Font, Elizabeth Lynn.
That's a new one this year.
That's a new one. Julian Sucre, Joseph Bogie, Ferdinand Rozier, Barb Oakenfuss, the Lieutenant Colonel, James Felix St. James, Regina Sucre, and then the virtual unknown, Francois Leclerc.
Yes.
Or Leclerc.
Leclerc.
And that just happens to be me.
There you go.
But I shouldn't be telling this because that ruins my opening for my presentation. But I am changing it up this year.
Okay.
So, I will still ask you if you know who I am.
Yeah.
I will still have an answer for you. And if you say, Leclerc, then
you have no answer to come back, huh?
Yes. But I am the virtual unknown, and I will tell you a little bit of why I'm a virtual unknown. That's according to Colonial St. Genevieve, Dr. Eckberg. Carl Eckberg describes me as a virtual unknown.
Yeah.
So I will explain who I am, but then I'm caught because I've given the pretty much same story the last so many years. I changed it up a little bit this year. I'm thinking about after I introduce myself, I may be going off on my wife because and telling about her. Either that or Francois Leclerc. There are 4 generations of Leclerc. And the 3rd generation, I could tell that story. So I'm not sure. I was stuck. I'm probably won't be telling the Francois story this year, but I'm going to probably my wife or my grandchildren.
There you go.
Which is unique because
did they
2 of them stayed here. The oldest 2 stayed in St. Genevieve, and the younger 4, including the twins, traveled to Galveston, Texas.
I knew that.
Yes.
Yes, I knew that.
And they stayed there. So. They all have great stories, the 4 that went to Galveston.
That's the problem. Once you start uncovering these stories, each one is interesting and then get more interesting and you want to know more and more information on them. And so if you don't have anything to do, because I hate people sitting home and saying, there's nothing to do. This is something you can do. There's always something to do. Dress warm or dress according to the day, because if it was today, it would have been beautiful out.
And we have bonfires.
We will.
And will the moon be full or gone then? It's a quarter now.
I have no idea how to figure that.
What's it?
The moon. Will it be full?
It's about a quarter now.
It will be. The
dark of the moon?
Moving toward a full.
Toward the full. Well, that's good.
Let me think.
It's a quarter right now.
It's a quarter. No, I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll have to think.
Yeah.
Usually I know.
This is too hard if we have to figure out.
You have to figure the moon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll be there no matter
We'll
what
be
the
there.
moon is.
Yes,
It's,
yes. And we'll have.
I was just
bonfires.
thinking how neat it'd be to have a full moon.
I think we had the full moon last year.
I think so too. That was a beautiful
Yeah,
moon.
there was the full moon last year.
Yeah.
Which, so it would be. We probably won't have it this year.
No, probably not.
You know, if I had one of those devices to check, I would check and see. But I don't have a device because in the 1770s we just kind of
Yeah.
figured things out.
Figure things out.
Exactly.
I have a timepiece from the period. Let me see if I can find it in here. It's not going to help
Yeah,
us.
but we're looking forward to it, and we hope a lot of people come. We had last year was our makeup. Last year was when it rained and we had the makeup.
Yeah.
We had to have it made up. So it was the first Saturday in November. You know, hopefully we don't have that. You know, hopefully we can have it. So our crowd wasn't as good as it was the year before. The year before we had our best crowd ever. 2 years ago we probably had 250 to
Oh, that's great.
300 people.
So how many do you usually get?
That was our largest
Yeah,
crowd.
yeah.
And we've worked, I guess, harder at publicizing it. I know someone reached out to me about the wanting to tour the Guyboard Valley House, but they were trying to find a time, and they were a group of 20-something, and they
Oh,
were
how
coming
neat.
in for the Spirit Reunion. And I
So-
don't know exactly where they were coming from, but she did, you know, call and was looking for a tour, the Guyboard
Well,
Valley.
maybe
and
we
talk-
can do it right before the spirit reunion.
it's
right
possible. She was last. She said she had reservations to eat at 3:30. I said, well, the problem is that the docents, the people who give the tours, are
also
also spirits. So you know, we would have to, you know.
Yeah, and we have such a diverse group of people playing the spirits, you know, that it's they take on the persona of the people of whose house they live in,
Right.
or of their ancestors, or just I want to be in it. Who can I be? And we have a few new ones this year coming up, so that'll
great.
That'll be great. But it never fails that at least once before the evening is out, somebody will ask if they can be a persona for the next year. And and people live their lives. So we maybe have 40 or 45 people that have been spirits, and life gets in the way and they can't make it this year, but they'll make it next year. And you know, people just keep moving around. And if somebody is not coming back, we've got some holes this year since last year, and we're going to try and get people to play those parts. And so we just,
It changes.
changes.
I
and
did have someone in the last week mention, I don't know if I'm going to Spirit Reunion this year. I went last year, and you know, and the stories would be the same. But then I'm also, do you remember all the stories?
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
of course, no. So I said, and we have new spirits this year, and I'm going to be changing
Right.
my presentation.
Yeah,
you know, different angles.
I've been 3 or 4 or 5 characters, and then somebody comes in and wants to do the one that I've done, and so I've settled on the spirit of the cemetery because apparently I'm the only one that can remember dates.
Well, good for you.
Except
You've
you
been
did
saying
not
it long
remember
enough.
the date
Yes.
of the Spirit Reunion.
Except I did remember
So I'm going to have to call you out on that. but
Okay,
That's okay.
yeah.
We'll move on.
It's old dates, you know. I have an old mind, so old dates.
Dates are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, on the 14th of October, if you are going down to QRST to have some tea and some of their wonderful food and their muffins and scones and everything, we will have some spirits there, not the whole 25, but a few
Oh, how neat,
spirits.
yeah.
And that'll walk around, tell their stories, and tell what the spirit reunion is. So,
And that'll
Well,
be
that's a great thing to
this
do.
Saturday. And I'm going to correct you on the date again. It's this Saturday. I think the date would be the 12th. It would be
okay.
October 12th.
Oh, see.
Yes.
I
And
didn't
it's,
make those arrangements, so,
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
At 3 o'clock, I believe.
And they serve lunch from
Yeah.
till 5.
till 5, yeah.
And it's very good, I might
Oh,
mention.
yeah.
And we
It
have
is.
like six, I think at least 6 or 7 spirits who are going to
Yeah.
kind of give a little bit of a preview of them to
Yeah.
come in at different times with
Yeah.
each a course, I believe.
Sure.
And kind of give a little bit of background to those who
Yeah.
are attending.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be a nice
yeah.
event
Right.
that
Yeah, it will.
QRST
Yeah.
is putting on. So,
It's very nice of them to do that. Now, we also have the Parade of Spirits, and we're going to do that up on the front porch of the Geboard House.
no, actually, there'll be the wagon ride.
Okay.
This year,
I knew he
the-
had organized that. so-
In along with the rural heritage and the tractors, there will be a wagon. And one of our partners, Felix Valley State Historic Site, is setting. They're sponsoring and kind of putting on the World Heritage Festival. And Whitney lined up. Whitney Tucker lined up the tractor for the Spirits to parade.
Very good.
And that will be at 4 o'clock at the museum. We will have spirits and then ride around town, to be visible
Yeah.
and kind of, a real live advertisement and,
Yeah.
with our banner. And
that's
it'll drop us
amazing.
off.
Yeah, yeah.
And the wagon will drop us off at the cemetery.
Oh, that's-
for those who are available spirits, and then other spirits will, meet us
their way
there.
there.
And,
Yeah.
and yes, that's
Yeah.
so
Every
it's a little
year
bit
you
of a
add.
change up.
Yeah, every year you add something new.
Well, we keep trying to make it, more entertaining and not the same year after year, and get different people and different personas and the same people changing their stories, because there's a lot of stories you can tell about one person's life. It's
Oh,
not,
definitely.
one story at all. So I'm sure. Well, this is Ellie Douglas, who had gone to an event in the cemetery in Minnesota, which in fact was not anything like what we do. But she told me that story, and I said, well, we can do this for Historic St. Genevieve. So I kept calling people that I thought wouldn't say no to me, and we put on. I think the first year, which is about 22 years ago, we had 8 or 9 spirits, and of course they'd never done it before, so nobody had elaborated very much. And it was a misty, foggy day, and the mist was hanging in the air in the cemetery,
my.
and so everybody
Perfect.
had black umbrellas going through the cemetery. It was atmospheric, and it was very, very cool. If I remember correctly, we made like $25, but
But the seed was planted.
The seed was
This was
planted.
way before my time, and if I'm not mistaken, correct me, Mickey, if I'm wrong, but I think Ellie mentioned when she did the spirit reunion, there was one spirit who would go from grave to grave and telling the story of the person, I don't know how many different people, but just one person kind of represented all the spirits. I think I remember Ellie, mentioning
yeah.
that to me. Something else that we did this year too is we're having a program put together for the Spirit Reunion, and we were able to find some sponsors and some great sponsors, and I'm not going to name them all because
No.
I'm afraid I don't have it in front of me, and it was just being finalized.
Right,
the program
right, exactly.
is just being finalized. So if I did mention some of the ones who signed up early to sponsor us, then I would forget some. But we are having a program this year with a listing of the spirits and a little bit of history of the Deja
Yeah.
Spirit Reunion, and if it was, I'm not sure the year, Mickey, 2008, maybe it won an award.
Yes.
Missouri Humanities Award for community.
Oh, I accepted that award, but I can't remember what the name of it was. I
Yeah,
have-
for community,
That's wonderful.
basically.
Community involvement or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
So, we hang our hat on that, it
Right.
was recognized, by the state. of
Very
Missouri.
early, very early.
Yes.
By the second year, we were getting people from all over the state because they had heard about it, and they were the cemetery committee from their church or their
Oh,
parish or whatever, and so they had heard and they wanted to see what it was and if they could copy something of it, and so we were happy, and we had cemetery committee people that I spoke to for several years yet, and I spoke to a lady from Kentucky, and they have dinner with the spirits.
Oh,
And
that's
then it
cool.
goes to the spirit reunion type of event, and but I'm not cooking.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, it's kind of neat too. I've met some distant cousins who traveled here, for it. Some Beauvays and La Roses.
Yeah.
And they start talking. We start talking, and we connect. And,
Yes, you are related.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We said their last name and that where they came. They're relatives from St. Genevieve. Who was it? They
Yeah.
tell me, and I'll be darned. We're cousins.
Yeah.
And that's kind of neat. And
That is.
yeah, and I think some of them come back every year. And they
yes.
recognize me, and and they mentioned something. I said, "Yes, I do remember you." But I've had people go through too, and I when you're talking to a larger group, you don't really but then somebody say, "Oh yeah, I really enjoyed your presentation." I go, "Oh, I didn't know you were there. I'm sorry, I didn't."
Yeah.
"Oh, mon ami, mon ami,
Yeah, you're
la famille."
partially in the dark, even when in about an hour, it's starting to get dusk-like and everything, and so you're talking to this crowd of people that just comes out of the darkness, and it's nice, but to recognize somebody that you know well in that group is hard to do.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I might
Who are you over there?
make this statement now, but the Foundation for Restoration of St. Genevieve, I don't know, we're talking about, we put this on, but we are the Foundation for Restoration of St. Genevieve. Our telephone number is 573-883-9622. Our email is historicstgen.org. And, if you want information, call, leave a message. We're not, we have somebody in there twice a week for half a day. And if you leave a message, we'll get you information. And what we are is a preservation society.
Right.
We preserve not only buildings, but mostly, in this case, stories.
Stories,
And then
culture.
also we have museum pieces.
Yes.
So, but for the most part, the Spirit Reunion is centered around the stories of the early, not only the founders, but people who came later
Right.
too. And
cemetery-
St. Genevieve was such a melting pot. And in the early days, probably the first melting pot in the United States. The
Exactly.
people that came through here and from
Now, don't
different
tell my whole
backgrounds.
speech.
Pardon?
Don't tell my whole.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. So yeah, I'm always a spirit off over there.
I
but
know.
yeah.
I have piecemeal heard one or two or three of them.
Yes.
When we do something else somewhere else, I haven't heard most of the spirits because I'm talking the whole time that they're
I
talking.
hadn't either. But then, thanks to you guys and Charlie, who's back there filming us right
Yeah.
now, he's in, and I will allow you to film me this year, Charlie. Last year I shooed him away because Charlie, you've already got my story. I've
there
already
you
given
go.
you my story. I said, go get somebody that you haven't gotten,
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but this year, because again, I'll be taking a different angle, but I didn't want to get that in there about the Foundation for Restoration of St. Genevieve. We are a preservation society. You're welcome to become a member. and you can call us and we can get you the information. But I also want to mention that our partners in our preservation mission here in St. Genevieve. First of all, the city of St. Genevieve, they own the cemetery.
They own the cemetery, yes.
They are, and they are, our partner, and we work together with them to try to keep it as beautiful and as nice as we can. And we were in there today with the Missouri Department of Conservation, and we were looking at a tree maintenance program to make it look as best we can, and to see what limbs we need to take off of some of these very old trees, and also to plant some in the future that might need to be or will need to be replaced. So we're going to get on a program to do that through the Missouri Department of Conservation. But again, we're partners with the city. The National Park Service is a partner. They preserve also the Beauvais Amaro House, which is currently being preserved, and they're just, it's the thing about the National Park Service. Some other federal, some people, we do not have the capability, the funds, individuals, or even the state to do what the National Park Service is able to do with these buildings, especially the Beauvais Amaro, and then, the Green Tree, the Ziegler Janice, the Green Tree Tavern, as we all know it as mostly, what they did with that to preserve it. So they're a partner in this preservation of what we have in St. Genevieve. The Missouri Department of Conservation, the Felix Valley State Historic Site, their preservation, what they've done there, they're constantly doing what they can, with their state park there on Merchant and Second. And the French Colonial America, the Beauvais Linden House, they preserved that. The Lamiere House next door, and the Bolduc House, of course, is which French Colonial America, and they have their museum. And we also have the St. Genevieve Museum Learning Center, who are front runners like the rest of us in this preservation. And they, of course, with their museum pieces. But we all preserve.
Yeah.
And some people say, and say, you remember the historical society. Well, well, it's more to it than that. So,
Yes. So, and that's good to mention all those other things, because we work together. We work separately and we work together to do the preservation. And it's so nice to hear all of them mentioned, that it's more than just we old fogies that are doing it. Yeah. So this gives us.
So are there pretty many young ones involved now to what there used to be?
We're getting some younger people.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
Because for years we were the young people, Jack and I, and now we're the old people.
Well, we're going to welcome a new spirit this year, as our local tourism director, Aaron Smith, is going to be a spirit. I'm not sure who he's portraying, but
I know I have to get him a coat, and I know that. Well, that's about as much as I know. So I'm not sure what period. See, the cemetery was only opened from 1787 to 1882.
Right.
So nobody has been buried there for
since 83. Huh?
Since 1882. 82.
Well, kind of.
Yeah,
but we don't want to.
I start telling the story, and then I think I have to stop because it's the spirit that will be telling that.
So we have to. I was kind of stepping on your toes a little bit. I apologize.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
Just let me know, because
people won't remember it anyway.
Right. That's true. That's
true. I did want to get that in there.
They'll go, oh, that's right. He did mention that.
Right. Right.
About the foundation.
Yeah.
And for Restoration of St. Genevieve. And, and we do more than just the spirit reunion. We own and take care of the Guibord Valley House. We provide tours there on 1 North 4th. And we also own the Kiel Schwinn House, which is our offices, and it also houses Mecker Library, which has information about St. Genevieve that you won't find anywhere else.
And other things from the Mid-Mississippi Valley. If you're interested in any of that, there are books on everything that is in the area, just about. So if you're doing research, need some information, we have a whole library, and can let you in on some of our secrets and things. And and a lot of people that are very willing to take on doing this, dressing in costume, showing up, doing some research. Sometimes you can get it, maybe because it's your great grandmother, so you may know some stuff. And I've had so many stories told me about in the cemetery, and I try to stay away from stepping on anybody else's toes, but I do have some other stories that go on about the cemetery. And now I have costumed a lot of people, but then they pretty soon, I have kind of a two times in history that I have costumes for. And so if a spirit is from another time period, they just have to put up with my costumes for at least a year. And then if they're coming back, generally speaking, they find the right costumes, or we get together and figure something out.
And you mentioned about my vest, you asked me if I got a new vest. And the spirit I portray, I figured it out by looking on these spirit. I'm the oldest. I was from the 1770s is when I was here, and I was one of the, I was buried in the old town.
Right.
And then exhumed and reburied in Memorial Cemetery. So I have a unique story.
No kind of record for being reburied in the old cemetery. We have somebody that's moved 3 times.
Yes.
So
goodness.
that's a good story, and
that's a good
and
story
that's all I'm going to say about it, because somebody will tell you all of that.
Yes, that's
But yeah,
from my, I like I said, I figured out, that all these other spirits, I'm the first, I'm the oldest, so I passed away in 1789, and of course I was buried in the old town in 1792.
Dug you up and moved you up. Yep.
So it dug up and exhumed, and church records indicate that. But you mentioned earlier too that all the tombstones. I don't have a tombstone. My wife doesn't have a tombstone, but the church records say I was buried in that cemetery. So I'm going to say that I am buried with the rest of my family.
Yeah, that seems
so that's where I set up, and that's where I tell the story.
Yeah. So everybody takes liberties like that.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And the 1824 was a daughter-in-law, so it'll be 200 years. This year that the tombstone, one of the tombstones I stand by, which would be my daughter-in-law, where she's buried. She died in 1824. So I won't tell much about her. So I'll
save that for another year. Yes,
I did because but I did.
And we've had mostly adults, but we've had young people. We had, and I believe this year we will have our Civil War drummer boy back, and so that'll be fun. My granddaughter came up the day of that, and so she ran around the cemetery trying to look for somebody about her age and then what the period was like, and she did a present.
Somebody?
Yeah,
well, good for her.
Yeah, she was 14 and she just loved it. Get to talk in front of people and perform. And
runs in the family, huh?
Well, it does kind of. So you and then people do it for 1 year and their family moves out of town, or so some people have only done it a year or 2 or 3, and then they're not around for it.
Yes, and there are other commitments. Like I had a nephew get married on the night of the spirit reunion. Last year, no. not last year.
No, it was
a few
the
years
year-
ago.
yeah.
Time's passed so much, but it was my class reunion was the same night as the spirit reunion. So, I was able to I made it to the spirit reunion
Yeah.
because I was already committed before the date came up. But, but there are conflicts where sometimes we're
Yeah.
there and then sometimes
I had
we're not.
2 nieces 2 years in a row that got married on that Saturday.
Saturday.
And I don't have the option that you all have of coming to this and then running over to the reception or something.
Yeah, because they're too far away.
They're too far away
Yeah.
for me, and then I had a class reunion and I had to choose, and this was before a lot of people were involved with us, and so I missed my 50-year class reunion
Oh, my.
from grade school. So and my 50-year class reunion from high school I missed also for some reason, but anyway, so keep October the 12th. It's a Saturday afternoon at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll be at QRST. Then the day of, we will be on a wagon that will be going through the crowds from Rural Heritage Days. And
they've moved that pretty much to downtown.
yeah,
St. John.
yeah. So that will be good. And then if it rains, and it's not going to rain, I've already talked to people, and it's not going to rain this year. We will have a rain date though on November 2nd, and I think that's a pretty good idea to have that set in advance so we don't tempt fate into, say, well, fine, let it rain. We'll be next weekend, and
Right.
and
And that's also All Souls Day. Or
Yes.
Saints Day.
yes,
awesome.
yes, yeah.
All Saints first.
All Saints, yeah.
All Saints. So, now see, here's we're talking. I had a thought and it escaped
And
my.
I opened my mouth and it went away.
But we will be having a good time. You welcome to bring your own lantern or flashlight or whatever it is that you need to see by. We do have small flashlights and lanterns that we can give to people so they can move around the cemetery before, with the dusk coming. And the lanterns, the spirits will all have lanterns so that you can find them.
And the last I heard, we had 25 spirits. So we'll be there for 2.5 hours and 25 spirits. You're going to be later. We suggest you get there if you want to hear all the spirits.
Right.
To get there when we open at 5 o'clock and otherwise, then, and it might be tough for you to hear all the spirits. That's why you need to come back. If you've been there before.
And there's crowds at one spirit, so you move on and then
Backtrack.
try to backtrack, and you're lost as to where the other ones are. But they've got lanterns, so you can pretty much see where you've got another spirit.
And it's probably best to wear tennis shoes rather
Absolutely.
than sandals.
That's what I was going to say before, and I forgot.
Okay.
Comfortable shoes. Be aware of what the weather is going to do. Don't at 3 o'clock in the afternoon say, well, it's warm today, because as dusk comes, the wind picks up, and my spot is down near the gates, and it's very warm down there. We don't get the breeze, but I understand if you're on the top of the hill, it's very chilly coming up there where that wind is coming
across,
through.
yeah.
So dress accordingly and know that you may be facing some cold weather, and I tell the spirits this also, because some years long underwear underneath is not amiss, and
Right.
and heavy capes.
Well, I usually do that. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So, and I've also noticed that we've had repeat same people come every year. And, I know, I recognize a few people, and we really appreciate that. And we
Yeah.
really appreciate, I love to see the locals, the people from St. Genevieve come,
Yeah.
because a lot of times I will ask somebody where they're from, and they're from wherever, but, we have, if you're from St. Genevieve, you're going to be around that evening, and you've never been to one or you've been to one before, please come. Check it out because it's a great event.
Yeah.
And
you hate that people from out of town, not hate, that people from out of town are coming and hearing our history and hearing our cultural morals and things. And the people from town are sitting here and going, there's nothing to do in St. Genevieve. So hopefully we will get a few more local people and come. And then feel free to call me and say, I want to be a spirit next year, and we will hook you up. And if anybody does decide they want to do it, well, this year it's maybe a little bit late to get started, but you could. And
You have a good memory.
if you have a good memory, yes.
And can memorize.
Yes. So they can call me for anybody that needs help with their costumes and such. So let me put my phone number out there. It's 314-277-5747. And if you need help with some costuming or what have you, just give me a call.
yes, or the foundation office, again, 573-883-9622.
Yes, 9622.
And again, we have an event, the Foundation for Restoration of St. Genevieve. We have pretty much an event once a month.
Right.
We're made up of volunteers, and but in September we had the St. Genevieve History Conference, and it was a great conference.
Oh,
We had
yes.
5 speakers, and they told great stories, and they were from different places that we brought in, but there were stories about here. We had Jean Boulier, The Life of a French Priest. We had the Enigma of the New Bourbon, history of the Delasuque Kern House, which is a National Park Service house,
Yes.
down on 61. Local Tom Grimminger talked about the one-room schoolhouse education in St. Genevieve County. Deborah Downey, who recently moved here, she talked about a story of Rhodey Christie, St. Genevieve's influence in Black American history, and that was a great story because it was an ancestor of hers. So it was a great story, and for her to present it,
That
it
was
was
really meaningful.
And then, of course, Bob Mueller, he did Senator Lewis Lynn, who is the handsomest man in
Handsomest
Missouri.
man in Missouri.
So, that was the history conference in September, but then in December, we're going to have our holiday house tour.
Yeah.
And we have like 7, be looking for this. The date on that is December
I'd have to look on my calendar.
December 7th, from 4 to 7. The Christmas, the holiday house tour is December 14th from 4 to 7. And about 7 different private homes in St. Genevieve that'll be decorated for Christmas. And then turning the year over, the first Saturday in February is the King's Ball. So those are a few events, I didn't want to overload you, but those are different events sponsored by the Foundation for Restoration of
Right.
St. Genevieve. And last year, of course, was the Queen's Ball, but this year again, a leap year, but
Yeah.
this year again, the King's Ball. But again, these are some of the upcoming events that the Foundation for Restoration puts on. And again, we are a preservation society. We want to preserve the culture, the stories, and there's constantly new stories that pop up
and come out,
around here,
yes.
and they're all great. But that's basically who we are.
And this is an easy way to learn history. Just get it told to you as some good old gossip, and as people tell their family stories. So,
Well, most of what I say is true. Most of what I say.
yes, and there is a lot that's true. I mean, there's not too many that
Right.
are working from scratch.
Yeah, I tell the truth, but sometimes I might miss on a date or miss on an age or miss on something. But
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part, so.
So lots to learn if you
Lots of
come.
stuff going
and just
on, yeah.
and there's no test when it's over with. You can just enjoy the knowledge. and
Yeah, I think that's really a good event, unfortunately.
so October the
Yeah.
26th, 5 o'clock, Old Memorial Cemetery. $5 for students, $10 for adults, and if it rains, November 2nd. So. Anything we left out?
I don't know. Did we leave anything out?
Did you?
Any questions that I know of?
Yeah. So the Keel Schwinn House, do you just have events there for the foundation, or do you?
We have
it out
rented it.
for-
We have rented it out in the past. For
The
for
Keel
group-
Schwinn?
The Keel Schwinn for the boardroom. Somebody has a group of people and need a large place to sit them. They can do that. We've had cocktail parties in there for one. I'm thinking of one spirit reunion where the opening event was there, and we had a little cocktail party,
Oh,
and so we do that. And then there's a portion of it that is the Mecker Library that has quite a few books. I don't know a count, but it's quite a few books on the area. It's not just
Or history,
only
huh?
yeah. It's French corridor, from St. Louis down to Louisiana and back. Though we rarely have much to do with New Orleans, because we're upper Louisiana,
Right.
and but
Yeah, I just think that's such a neat house.
yes,
I love the big windows, and I know the Art Guild years ago had a couple events in there.
oh
Yeah.
yes, I know exactly when you did that.
We
yeah.
did Chuck Drost with his presentation, animation
Yes.
presentation. And then I don't remember the other one, but I remember being in there twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As part of that
Many
pioneer.
years ago.
Yes.
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 Many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so the 26th of this month, wear comfortable shoes.
wear comfortable shoes, dress warmly if it's necessary. 5 to 7,
And the old cemetery is on
5th Street,
5 to 7:30.
5 to 7:30.
5 to 7:30.
and it's right off of Market.
Yes,
So you just-
you can pass it on Market, or if you go Merchant and are going up the street Merchant, you end up right at the gates
Right
to
at
the
the
cemetery.
gates, yeah.
So it's between Market and Jefferson without taking Merchant into effect, and just everything ends at the cemetery. That was kind of the edge of town for a while, the church and cemetery, and that was it. And
Yeah.
And then things changed.
Yeah,
and then
the town
things
is-
changed as they always do. They always do. So
And the town has grown so much over the years.
right.
Yeah. And the new cemetery is pretty full out there.
It-
Of course, they have from 18.
Yeah.
And this one shut down until
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, 1882 out there. And so, yes, it should be getting full out there. So I don't know, have to get some more land in the area, or maybe they've already got
There's
the land.
some, yeah, yes.
Yeah. And, but thank you, Iris, for having us.
Well, I'm glad you both could come.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
we're
And it's
looking
always
forward-
nice to have you here.
We're looking forward to the spirit reunion, and we hope, and if you're watching this and spread the word, spread the word
Exactly.
to people that this is a great event.
It is.
And it's a great event. If you've been to it or if you haven't been to it, again, please share the information with people that you know that'll be around that day.
And bring your kids.
Yes.
Kids love it.
I bet they do. I
Yeah,
bet
they do.
Yeah.
They listen intently, and they love being in there when it's getting dark, and they have their little lantern that they can carry around. And
It's quite an event for them.
yes,
It
yes,
is.
And one thing we ask though is that you do not sit on the tombstones.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
They are very fragile. They're very old. They're
Yeah.
So it's
So bring a carry chair.
yeah. We don't
You have
want
to
to
sit,
we don't
yeah.
want to sit on the tombstones.
No,
And
no.
Even though some of them look like it would be very inviting to sit down on because of them being flat.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a bench. Please,
Yeah.
please don't.
Don't do that.
I had to tell someone years ago, a younger person, but they said, "Oh, please don't sit on my wife's tombstone."
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I felt bad,
yeah.
but
you have to do that. You don't
Right.
want them to sit on one of those box grave and have it just fall apart underneath you.
yes.
And but even the regular tombstones, first when they get old, they fall because the ground has settled
Right.
unevenly, and then they sink. So one of these days, I keep saying we're going to do this. One of these days, we need to walk across the cemetery with an iron poles
And poke and see.
poke on, on a day that it's muddy and stuff. And I was telling Chesley Montgomery about that one year, and what we did was we were walking up the hill talking about how they fall over, and we looked down, and there was about a 6-inch portion that you could see there was
visible.
something, and we got down and we brushed the dirt off of it, and then we pulled the grass over it, and here was a whole tombstone that was on its back and cracked, so we couldn't just even put it up. It had to be repaired, but we found a tombstone. So
Yeah, that happened to me.
And
I
there's
went
bound
to
to be
St. Mary's cemetery, up on the hill.
Yeah.
And I had known that I had relatives that were buried there because of 1870 something Fairplay, buried and the procession.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find it, so I'm poking around, and about that deep. I did find it. I cleaned it off, and it was in great shape. You could read it
Yeah.
very clearly. But I knew it had to be around.
Was it a flat stone?
Yes, it was
Yeah,
a flat
that's
stone. Yes, and all the grass cuttings had piled up over the years,
Oh,
and
they
no
just
one had.
preserve it, yes,
Yes.
rather than
Yes,
destroy
but
it.
Actually, I found another family member, and I said, "There's got to be more," and that's how I found this one, and it was
Yeah, probably, since it
from the
wasn't-
1880s, and
Yeah.
and it was kind of neat. It was like I found a treasure.
Sure, sure.
So. And
And probably being covered for so long preserved it.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
it probably.
Kept the
Yeah.
weather off of it.
Yeah, and the lichen.
Well, I go
from
back
growing.
about every year or two and clean it off because the grass cuttings continue to cover it up. But I know where it's at, so.
So that's good. You can bring it up.
But that's a little bit of story about the tombs. But,
Yeah.
again, thank you, Iris.
Well, you are so welcome. Anytime you want to come.
And thank you,
talk about
Charlie. I know
anything
you're
you
back
want.
there, Charlie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Charlie Letteris, he's great. He does
Yeah.
a wonderful job.
And he has
I'm gonna give it
filmed.
kudos to Charlie.
Yes, because
And
he has
a show practically all the way back when it started.
probably.
So if we want to see ourselves young, we
yes,
can just go
there
back
we go.
to
Can look back.
back to 2011 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it was 2004 or 5 that
That you guys
that we
started.
started it. So
Yeah.
so we're right at about 20 years.
That's so great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
very
anyway,
good.
we'll tell everybody good night. Thank
Good
you for
night.
listening. Good night,
Good night.
everyone.